Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, and I'm going to review Dear Eleanor. Best friends, Max and Ellie, decide to leave their rural hometown on an adventurous cross-country road trip to meet former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Sneaking away in a bright blue convertible belonging to Ellie's dad, they set out with the wind in their hair and the radio turned up. While trying to stay a step ahead of Ellie's father and the police, the girls cross paths with an eclectic mix of people who truly make this an entertaining, once-in-a-lifetime experience. Alright, so the first thing to tell you is that nobody's heard of this movie. That's fine. It has a full list of stars. The friends are Isabel Foreman and Liana Liberato. I don't really recognize either of them. But then the movie has Luke Wilson as the dad of Ellie. It also stars Jessica Alba, Josh Lucas, Ione Skye, Joel Courtney, and Patrick Schwarzenegger. This movie is rated PG-13. It's a 2016 film, and it runs about an hour and a half. If you didn't get the whole story from there, this is about two girls. I got very confused at the beginning. It starts to mention Marilyn Monroe, like, immediately. And it took me the whole movie to figure out that Ellie is not Marilyn Monroe's daughter. I'm still confused to this point that Ellie's mom was just a mom, because it made it seem like her mom was Marilyn Monroe. And then all this stuff that happened along the way, I was like, well, why are people giving the daughter of Marilyn Monroe a hard time? And then at the end of the movie, I figure out that she's just some girl, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes a little bit more sense. So, criticism is on Luke Wilson. I don't know if people are a fan of his or not. I don't know if you think he's done good work, but this movie, he's not convincing as a mean dad. He's not convincing as a forlorn dad. He's not convincing as a guy who really doesn't know what he's doing. He just doesn't seem like he's in the role. He doesn't seem like he really cares. He given these lines and he just kind of says them. And I just did not care for Luke Wilson in this movie. He's been okay in some other things here and there, but this is probably his worst one. I think that's very fair to say. It's a terrible acting job. It seemed like he literally got given a page of lines, and he just kind of said them. And he's like, give me my money. That's really the attitude I got from him. It was not pleasing. For me, though, I didn't really know all of the references that they had in this movie, and I'm kind of sorry about that, but I'm not a big historian kind of fan, and I don't know everything about everything, and I'm not big on the old retro stuff, and I know games that were popular when I was a kid, and I know celebrities that were sort of popular when I was born, but once you get into 60s, once you get into 50s, 40s, whatever, I might know somebody's name, but I might not know why they were anything ever. So it was just a little tough. I did write down the interesting fact that comes from this movie is that there are two Las Vegases. Did you know that? I did not know that. That was very interesting. Look it up. I'm not going to tell you where the other one's at. Look it up. The things I did know was Marilyn Monroe and Ed Sullivan. I like that reference thrown in there. Once again, I never have really seen an episode of an Ed Sullivan show. The movie Bye Bye Birdie talks about it, and That Thing You Do talks about it, but I know people wanted to be on his show, but other than that, I don't really know. So it was just kind of an interesting movie, though, along the way. Somebody that did shine, and I don't know why, but literally, she was one of the bright spots of this movie, is Jessica Alba. I think people's opinion of her has probably been that she's been a little bit useless, but she's turned in some good things here and there, and she's tried to be a little bit, superhero ish. And so this one, she gets a very easy, kind of, not a complex character, but just, it's kind of a dumbed down kind of girl that's from a small town, but she's meant to be in a big town and use her talent, but she's not all there upstairs. And it was a little bit too much for that character, but Jessica Alba is able to handle it easily, and she plays it well, and she plays off of the young girls very well, and she just seems to handle herself accordingly, and she has a lot of fun with her character. She gets to be a dancer, and wow, as a guy, watch this movie just to see Jessica Alba in her dancing outfit. It was worth it. Okay, now to the interesting thing of the film. Frank Lee Morris is played in this movie by one of the main characters. I had to look him up. It mentions him, and I was like, wow, he's really a staple character in this movie. Why? Like, it mentions something about him being at Alcatraz. I was like, man, I've got to look this up. So I took yesterday to read about it. Paragraphs and paragraphs about this guy. He is one of the few in history that has actually escaped from Alcatraz to the mainland, and it took them a long time to find him. This movie, with all this going on stuff of this time period, he is a very interesting guy. And his story, anything having to do with a prison escape is always exciting, but there have been books and movies and everything made about this guy, Frank Lee Morris. And the fact that this movie incorporated him in the way that they did with his character, and the way that they made it fun, and they made it seem like he's a good guy and down home and good intentions. It's just amazing. That part of it was really amazing. Once I stepped back and look at it, like in the moment, I had no idea who he was. I had no idea why he was being, part of the story and going along for this ride, whatever. But everything that they had him do was really a lot of fun. And then I find out who the guy actually was, and I was like, holy cow. So look up Frank Lee Morris, look up Two Las Vegases, get your history on, people, because that is some interesting stuff. Now, to the other part of this is the part that it was called Dear Eleanor. I hate to give stuff away because I really want people to watch this movie, but at the end, Eleanor Roosevelt just dies. She does. That's the climax of this movie. So it's not really about Eleanor because she dies and they never get to meet her, and that's supposed to maybe be the twist of the movie. I don't know, but it's upsetting. It's not a twist. It's just upsetting. Could have handled it in so many different ways. Could have just had him meet her the day before, and then she dies the next day, and they're like, oh, that was so cool that we met her the day before she died. Something. It was a little upsetting. So it's totally about the journey. It's a very interesting journey, and I hate how they handled the end, and I wish you would have called it something else, So that's my critique of this movie. It was very irrelevant at the end that they handled it the way they did, and the whole movie just kind of loses credit of it. So I'm going to have to get it a little bit lower grade, but I think it was a good movie. I think it was a fun topic. I think it was a fun part of history, and things that they just plugged in were kind of exciting, to be honest. And every single fragment of it has had their own movies and their own books and everything written about them. And so I think it's okay. It's just kind of the feel of it is that maybe it's not its own unique idea, and it was a bunch of stuff just kind of plugged together. And so that's why it just kind of felt weird that it wasn't a complete thought. It's like somebody just went on a crazy rant, and it could have ended probably 3 times, and then it was just kind of silly, and then it was predictable, and then it was stupid, and just discredited the whole movie by having Eleanor Roosevelt die. So I'm going to give this movie a C plus because I did like it a little bit. Otherwise, it's just kind of run of the mill, kind of confusing. So my name is Danny. If you like this review or any of my other ones, please try and watch them if you have time. And like and subscribe to my channel if you would. And I really enjoy making these. I can tell people are watching them. And I like Dear Eleanor. Give it a try, everybody. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your movies.